So you don't need to be an expert to know what works for you when it comes to fueling your body. So today I'm going to talk about finding something, habits, a plan in place to help you on this journey for this year. I am starting also on step one. So let's talk a little bit about food intake, the diet, the cuss word that works for you.
If you're here, then you woke up today. And that is a blessing. Don't take that for granted. Don't waste it.
I do mean that. This is about finding something that is working for your lifestyle. Because when it comes to eating and just fueling your body, it's truly about where you sit with how active you are, your schedule as far as traveling. Like it all incorporates into what fits best for you. For me, because of my autoimmune, I can't eat how maybe someone else does. I don't move my body and burn the calories like someone else does. So I'm going to share a little bit about kind of what I have done for me, but maybe you can pull something out. Write it down on a piece of paper and say, you know what? That sounds will work somewhere in my daily intake when it comes to fueling my body. So let's jump on in on this. I'm going to share first of all with a really pulling my memory bank from back in the day. I know you've heard of all of the different kind of diets, right? Listen, I stopped that trend a minute ago. But I don't know how many of you remember, at least this is the name that it gave it when I did it, the cabbage soup diet. Do you remember that? If you did, or you did it, let me know in the comments if that was you. I did this over 30 years ago, just 2 weeks, 3 weeks out of my wedding date. I don't know what I was thinking. What in the heck? Granted, I made sure that I was at the weight I wanted, but it was at a high risk, right? Like, think about it. Cabbage, if you remember the diet, it was solely eating cabbage soup, probably for the first like 3-4 days, if I recall correctly. It was insanity. Of course, you're gonna go ahead and drop so much weight when you're just limiting yourself on what your body really needs, right? We've all been there, we've done it, a high and low, but you do get to a place in your life, I know I have, where it's like to do what really works for me. I mean, it's become truly as simple as that. Knowing where you're at in your life. I think that some of the younger generation now is truly getting this. I was just talking to my sister the other day and she's like, yeah, I agree. Some of these younger girls are truly understanding that it's how you're fueling your body, not limiting yourself, but making sure that it's a balanced thing, right? Okay, so let me stop rambling. Let's get into it. Let me start with me and what I feel has worked for me on 2 keywords: when and what I eat. I realized relatively soon into getting the autoimmune that what I was eating and when I was eating was making a big difference on my digestive system, because I just couldn't eat how I was eating at 7 o'clock at night. I had to make sure that my bigger meals were kind of earlier in the day. Also, that being said, we've heard of I'm going to drop the word down here. Let it just flash at you because my mind is just going blank. But it's where you go like a lot of hours without eating, right? You just try to stay away from eating several hours of the night, of the morning, and then you eat in a very indicated small pocket of time frame, right, in your 24-hour day. I didn't believe in that until I realized, yeah, that can truly help, and probably at any age, but especially for someone that is maturing in years, as well as also having some kind of an autoimmune digestive system issue. Oh my gosh, has this helped for me? So something even as simple as slow cooking your meals, and specifically like your meats, like your protein. I went to eat at Mexican restaurant the other day, and their tortilla soup was chef's kiss because of the fact that the meat was shredded down and so buttery soft that my system digested it well. I had zero issues. And granted, I did eat the meal fairly early in the evening, but I can almost just even, I'm at the point where I can even just taste how I'm chewing my food before it goes down my system, that it's gonna sit well in my digestive system, because I've learned to just slow cook that meal down. And then there's the what I eat, which I've also clearly have seen as a pro. And because of the autoimmune, again, I have to try to stay to a list of foods that's going to keep that calm so that I don't have flare-ups. Eat certain foods that will help with like the inflammation in my body, right? So I go ahead and try to grab things that have, fish, fatty fish, Greek yogurts, extra olive oil, avocados, like the good stuff, right? The good fatty foods that you want to eat. But it also helps with just inflammation in my body. Throw in some other things like sweet potato, oats. It's one of my favorite things in the morning is just a bowl of oatmeal and throw in some fruit, berries, of course. The other vegetables that are good are like zucchinis and broccoli, mushrooms and spinach. I mean, I try to eat enough spinach. Again, these are things that will help just even support like the immune system. Targeting for myself, again, someone that just has like an autoimmune, but of course, vegetables and fruits, like we've heard of the whole keep your plate colorful, right? Okay, I think we've narrowed that down with just finding the right intake of food. I'm staying away from the cuss word. Let's move on to something that I think that a lot of us don't maybe even think as it being important, and that is the second topic, which is prepping food and lists. Okay, so let's start with the list. Let's start even just at the beginning when we go to the market, right? When we're gonna go do our food shopping. I remember this being something that was an eye-opener, light bulb. And that was trying to stay away from all of the aisle foods. Listen, we gotta go in there. Let's keep it real. We do at times, right? We've got to get our rices and our canned foods, and I get all that. But a lot of our healthier foods are on the perimeter of like the market, right? Your fresh fruits, your poultry, and then go in the middle. But more importantly is keeping a list of what you're going to get so that when you bring it home, you have it ready for your week. I tend to shop weekly only because I want to get the fresh stuff, make sure that I'm pretty much making and prepping all my food right at the beginning of the week. And then I have my either leftovers for that week. Prepping food, really honestly, is truly half the battle. It really is. Because if you think about it, if you don't have something that's kind of prepared ahead of time, you end up making poor choices. I know that's me. If I don't have something either ready to, in mind of what I'm gonna eat, which is gonna be my third topic, then the dominoes just fall. So getting a handle on prepping your meals, whether that's cutting your food down and having it ready, or freezing stuff and having it ready to thaw out, to throw into that pot or throw onto that pan, is really going to make things so simplistic for you and not overwhelming. We just make poor choices when we're not prepared. So that leads me to just even batch cooking. And I know that sounds like a lot, and I know that sounds like it's overwhelming, but it's truly not. Once again, if you set the tone right at the beginning of the week and just take that day. Listen, there are tons of videos you can find somewhere here on YouTube. That's not what I want to do, and that's not my intention. I'm just giving you the tools as far as where to begin. But you can batch your food again so that you can have it ready. When you go to the market, just kind of going back to that, think about the things that sometimes we tend to go get in the freezer section, because why? It's already prepped. But why spend the money on having someone else do what you're going to do by just taking a little bit of time, setting that schedule aside to prep all your food and have it ready? And that could be for any meal. I love to have, like, one of my favorite things to eat besides like my oatmeal in the morning is definitely eggs. I love a good omelet, but I don't like just to have a plain omelet, right? I love to put all the vegetables in there. But what happens is if I don't have those vegetables cooked and ready, literally ready to just throw into my omelet when I'm ready to cook, then I won't put them in there. And then it becomes overwhelming. Do I really want to do that? So having all that set, either freezing it in little baggies, whatever you find that's easiest for you, and just have it ready to go ahead and throw in to your meal. Before I move on to the last topic, okay? Think also when it comes to once you have everything prepped, you have everything cut down, you have everything frozen and ready to go, is the cooking process, right? I can name at least 3 right off the bat that you can try that will definitely help you keep things simple. I'm just truly all about just simplicity, guys. Like, if it starts to get too complicated, I'm out. How about you? So think about these methods of cooking. Either a slow cooker. I know they're coming back. They were a big thing back in the day, I remember. And you just throw everything in a pot all at once, turn it on, and forget about it, right? And in 4 or 5 hours, you've got an amazing meal ready to eat, right? So that method is amazing. The other one is like sheet pan, right? Either you're throwing your vegetables on there, or you're throwing some chopped up, maybe chicken, grilled chicken, like throw it on a pan. It's already seasoned because you did your prepping, and you throw it in the oven, set the oven on, and you've got an amazing meal in no time flat, right? One of the other things that I really enjoy using is an air fryer. So how many of you love your crunchy foods? You can still have that without having to sacrifice fried foods, right? The air fryer is another thing that's become, I think, a huge tool, a huge appliance to be able to use for when it comes to cooking. And again, it doesn't take much time, right? So maybe get yourself a nice air fryer. There's a slew in the market, but again, you can eat all of those yummy, what I call comforting foods that are crunchy, and not have to sacrifice it with the oils and what have not, right? So 3 methods of being able to make your meals healthy and yummy and basically quick, really, at no time flat. Okay, let's move on to the last topic, guys. And I mentioned this as journaling when I spoke last week in the video as far as the introduction. Journaling truly is just about accountability. Okay, so I don't want to mention any specific programs that are out there, but there's one specific that, I don't know, it could be maybe a no-no for you, or maybe you're okay with it, but it's about writing what you're eating. Now you can do this 2 different ways. You can actually just journal it, right? With it just being a flow of your thoughts, how you're feeling, when you're gonna cook something, after you ate something, however you want to incorporate like the journaling. I personally like to go ahead and write down what I'm eating most of the time ahead of time. It just gives me more control. I'm not denying myself. I know ahead of time what I'm going to eat. I'm making a conscious, purposeful decision, but I'm writing it down. I'm holding myself accountable to what I'm putting in my mouth. So one of the things that I also feel like it helps when it comes to writing it down is that it really does show you, if you go back, on what your body's missing. What are you not eating enough of? What are you eating too much of? Like that also helps in the whole thing of just writing it all down. You have that reference to go back to. It keeps you more mindful. For me, it does. I know, okay, what was I eating that day? Let's say you're not going to write it down ahead of time, but you eat and then you write it down afterwards. Write in that journal why you ate what you ate. How did it make you feel? What were you feeling at the time you were eating? If you are struggling with your autoimmune, you do have an issue when it comes to eating certain things that's gonna cause inflammation. If you're not writing it down, will you really remember what you ate 4 days ago? And then now you're feeling the after effects, because it doesn't happen right away. It usually takes time. So again, it's just all about keeping yourself accountable to what you're putting in your mouth, right? It's not about self-depriving yourself to foods. We can it's all about balance. It's not about being perfect in any way at all. But there's systems in place that you can put that this is going to make this realistic, simplistic for you. Okay, that's it, guys. Like, I hope that this helps you in the form of the dirty word. Listen, the diet that's really best for you, for your lifestyle, right? I hope that these 3 topics, right, has helped you. Finding something that works for you, finding the what and when to eat all of these foods, and then of course, just keeping yourself accountable with what you're eating by writing it down. All right, I hope this was helpful in some way. Please let me know if this has helped you. Don't forget to like, subscribe to this channel. Let me know, what are you doing for this year? If your focus and your goal is to either maintain where you're at or be healthier in some way by what you're putting on your plates, right, for each meal, I would love to hear what's working for you, and let me know if any other things that I've mentioned are something that you're going to implement for yourself. All right, we'll see you next week, and next week's topic is going to be moving our bodies. Okay, bye.